A Look at Finance is underwritten by Janney Montgomery Scott, trusted advisors for generations.
Welcome back. I'm here with Janney Montgomery Scott's first Vice President, Steve Carlton. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Paula. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Lots of fun. Always a pleasure.
Thursday.
Yes.
And we're talking about the stock market today?
I was hoping we could do weather.
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 Fall.
Yes,
It's beautiful outside.
It's gorgeous out, right? It's like
Yes.
all of a sudden the trees are changing colors, and yeah, we should do the interview outside. Can we do
Let's
that?
go. Yes, let's go. Absolutely. People are still nervous about the weather too, just like they are with the stock market. Why? What's going on?
Well, I don't think they have anything to be nervous about when it comes to the weather. And some people are saying maybe they have reason to be nervous with the stock market. I don't know. October is one of those months that are kind of unpredictable. And
October, we are Halloween, trick or treat, so...
Well, okay, so then you got trick or treat, so maybe people are saying...
Is it a trick or a treat?
Is it a trick or treat?
What are you on? I'll take the treat.
Who knows in this situation, but we've gone through a tumultuous week. We've had a couple of really big surprises the last couple of weeks. Everybody's been focusing on Ebola virus and what's happening in Africa and actually reaching U.S. shores. People are watching what's happening in Asia with China and Hong Kong. People are worried about Europe. And so this really, the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of nervousness that's shown up in the stock market because people are trying to say, is the market going to be up or down each day? And that's the wrong way to look at it.
It's hard to tell, right?
Yeah, and nobody knows on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's the problem that most people get into, is they try to pick the right day or try to time it. And I think it's very, very unpredictable lately.
So focus on the long term instead.
Yeah, right now, that's one of the things we've talked a lot about, Paul, in the past, is if you're investing and if you're an individual investor, you have to look at what your objective, what your goal is. And so when clients call and say, should I put money in today or should I put it in at the end of the market? Sometimes those are the wrong questions to ask. If you're saving for retirement or you're investing, look what Warren Buffett does. He buys a company for where he thinks it's going to be 10 years from now, not where it's going to be tomorrow. I think that's individuals, we've got to start investing more that way.
And let's talk about the U.S. dollar.
Mm-hmm.
We are the king of the world, and it wasn't doing too good, right? But we have some positive news here, right?
The world hates when we say that, right? They're like, we're leader of the free world, the king dollar. There's some certain truth to that. Certainly, we have the world's most powerful army. We have one of the largest economies in the world, and so there's a certain amount of jealousy and there's a certain amount of truth to it. What's surprising people is the U.S. dollar has rallied. It's gone way up, and everybody's saying, wait a minute, I thought the U.S. dollar is collapsing. I thought, our high debt and our budget deficits and everything else.
Now, why did people think that, if that's completely different?
Yeah, well, it's something that's only recently happened. I mean, it's a phenomenon where the U.S. dollar has started to rally. If you look back over the last couple of years, the dollar had weakened, and lately it started to rally again. And a big part of that, I think, is what's happening in the rest of the world. With Japan's economy struggling, with the yen going down, with the euro going down because of what Mario Draghi's saying about he's going to buy the bonds, he's going to do quantitative easing like we did here in the U.S., with China's economy slowing down. And so the U.S. has always been perceived, since after World War II, as a flight to safety. So
Steve, people at home are probably watching and saying, well, how are we going to benefit from that here in the capital region, for example? How are we?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we think about what a strong dollar, how it benefits, the local consumers, when you look at going to go on vacation, if you look at, if you're going to buy a foreign car, if you look at, some of the things, we export all these products worldwide, everything that's made in China. If you have a strong dollar, the prices of goods get cheaper. So for instance, if you go to buy a Sony or Sanyo television from Korea or Japan, as our dollar gets better, those products get cheaper. And so, the economy is struggling for a lot of the middle class, maybe aren't seeing a lot of the benefits. With a strong dollar, oil prices get better. So when you go to the gas station, if you notice, $3.45. Yeah, so there's a lot of indirect benefits. And those indirect benefits will directly affect people's, monthly income.
So does that mean people are going to be shopping out more because things are cheaper?
Yeah, I'm noticing the sales. You notice the back to school and everything else that's kind of died down. There's a lot of sales going on in retailers because retailers are struggling because the individual American, the average American consumer is struggling. So I think there's a lot of positive things that are getting better. And hopefully that will trickle down to the middle class and the working families that are out there.
So how about the unemployment? Does that affect the unemployment because
of the dollar?
Right, exactly.
That's a trend we've talked about for several years now, and it's been gradually improving. And so, when I look at Ford adding a new shift, I look at Boeing adding the manufacturing, and there's definitely a lot of benefits to U.S. companies being able to have that advantage when they're buying the raw products, they're buying the energy, the commodities. But the unemployment numbers are getting better. Now, what happens is if the unemployment number gets strong enough, that the income starts to go higher. So there becomes more competition for people that are employed, so companies start having to raise their income, they raise their salaries. So I think that's where hopefully we're eventually going. We're not out of the woods yet, but
Right.
those are some of the positives we see.
And you mentioned Boeing. Good news for them too.
Yeah, did you see the news today?
Yes,
The 737?
737.
Yeah, that's a great example of our innovation, our technology, our science fields, our engineering fields leading the world. Airbus is trying to play catch up with us. We've created this aircraft that is leapfrogged everybody else. It's better fuel economy and everything else, and so we're selling it to everyone in the world. So that's a great example of where we have taken our sciences, our engineering, our technology, and brought good, well-paying jobs to the country.
So it seems like the market financial news pretty positive, not so depressing, right? So that's good stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Is it good?
yeah,
it's all good. We're good.
I think to be intellectually honest, Paula, I think that sometimes we minimize the risk. Sometimes we minimize, and I think there's been a lot of fear and concern. I'm just trying to bring people back to some of the positives, but I don't want to minimize the challenges because I think most of our viewers, most of the people that are watching, if you're a small business owner, if you're somebody that's working, your salaries haven't kept pace with the cost of living. Jobs are not giving you the hours or the wages that you need. So we're not there yet. I don't think most people would say, I'm not better off than I was in 2008 or 2010. So we're not there yet. Yes, there's problems, and I don't want to minimize that. But overall, I think things are looking better.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's great news.
Thanks,
Thank you
Paula.
so much, Steve.
Pleasure. Good to
Thank
see you.
And if you would like to see this interview again, head to our website, looktvonline.com.